How much toxic bad debt have I accumulated as a real estate investor? Now, I've been investing in real estate since 2018, and over the last 7 years, I have been accumulating debt. If you're somebody who supports Dave Ramsey, you would say any and all debt is bad debt. If you're a different real estate investor, like my friend Dion from the channel Dion Talk Financial Freedom, or Matt, the lumberjack landlord, you might say that traditional 30-year fixed rate mortgages are great debt. In fact, the type of debt that I wish I could get more of. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. In this video, I'm going to break down and lay out for you all of my debt. That includes the traditional 30-year fixed rate mortgages, the seller financed mortgages, the private money loans and notes that I've done, and even including the credit card debt that I have. That's right, the vaunted, scary, horrible, high interest rate credit card debt. I'm going to lay it all out there for you guys to judge, because the purpose of this channel, if you go all the way back to the beginning, is to show you, the viewer, and to show anybody on YouTube or now on Rumble, subscribe to me over there, to show everybody what it's really like to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. Over the last 7 years, I've been investing and accumulating all of this debt. I have been documenting the process every step of the way. Every purchase of every property, every refinance, every loan, every remodel, all of the wins, and yes, all of the L's that I've taken. And I've taken a few. So if you want to see some of those, check out my channel. Not every single investment I've made has panned out. Not every project I've started has gone the way I thought. Not every appraisal at the end of a remodel came back as high as I would have liked. All along the way, I've had to struggle with reality. And the reality is, no matter how much people try to dress up their success and their journey on YouTube or for social media, it doesn't usually actually go like that. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys the debt that I'm in, because not all of it is the type of debt I would have wanted to get in back at the beginning. Now, before we jump right in, I need to dedicate this video to a friend of mine. His name is Doug, and he always comments on my videos. He labels himself as Dave Ramsey's biggest fan, his #1 student. His YouTube channel name is Drop Out and Retire Early, and I'm sure you're going to see him in the comments down below, ripping me apart as he always does, where he says, Mike, imagine how much more money you'd be cash flowing if you purchased all cash all those properties. Doug has a pretty good, decent-sized portfolio himself, and he loves to rub it in my face that he has absolutely no payments on it other than taxes and insurance. So Doug, this video is for you. Now, diving right in, I'm going to talk to you guys first from what I would consider good debt, the good debt that I have. So the 30-year fixed rate traditional mortgages that I have on this property, for instance, the one that I've been house hacking in the Seattle area. I have about 5 other properties, each with 30-year fixed rate debt on them. Now, the total amount of 30-year fixed rate debt that I have is about $650,000 worth of debt. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, I mean, if you have 6 properties, split that 6 ways, that's not that bad. And it really isn't. The way that I'm able to get such cheap properties is because most of the properties that I buy are in the Midwest, specifically the city of Gary, Indiana, where properties are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a pop. And so as I would get 30-year fixed rate mortgages, I might be getting a mortgage for less than some people's car loan amount. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Check out my channel if you want to see those videos. So of all the mortgages I have, 6 of them total $650,000 worth of debt. Again, I would consider that good debt because it's fixed rate, there for 30 years. Some people would say that's terrible. Next, I move from mortgages to seller financed mortgages. So these are not conventionally offered mortgages through a Fannie Freddie backed mortgage broker. These are private mortgages, seller financed deals that I have. So these seller financed deals I have 3 of them. 2 of them I have 15-year mortgages on with a 4.9% interest rate, pretty good by today's standards. And the last one, I have a 4-year mortgage term on it, 0% interest, and I'm making principal-only payments until it's paid off. Now, the total debt that I have for all of those mortgages is a total of only $70,000 worth of debt. Again, you might be saying to yourself, well, that's really not that bad. And I don't think it is, which is why I got into that debt, because those properties pay me significantly more than what my payments are. I profit the difference. That's my cash flow. That's why you get started investing in real estate, because that's how you make the money. Next, I'm going to move on to private notes. So for these ones, I bought these properties cash. And then after I owned it cash, I went to an investor and said, hey, I want to borrow some money to fund the remodel. And so what I did is I said, okay, well, you're going to loan me this money. I'm going to make monthly payments to you in the form of interest only. Now, interest only means I'm not paying the principal back. So most people would say, oh, that's kind of crappy debt. And you're right. It's not great debt. So what I did was do an interest only payment on a 5-year loan that at the end of those 5 years, I have to pay them all the principal back in one lump sum. Now, why did I do that? Well, the full videos that I have explaining the private money deals that I do, I'll put a link down in the description below for that. But essentially, it's because I said to myself, well, if I bought this thing cash and then I take a loan and I remodel the property, and let's say I bought it for 60 and I took a loan for 60, these are the real numbers, I'm all in at 120. Well, what's the value of this property now that it's done being remodeled? And the after repair value of the property was 180. So now I have a $60,000 equity position on this property, and I can go to a bank and say, I want to cash out refinance. I want you to give me all of my money back and all the money I borrowed back so that I can pay off that private lender and now just have another 30-year fixed rate mortgage, shifting that debt from the gray area debt over to the good debt. Again, my opinion, the good debt 30-year fixed rate mortgages. So where I'm at with those private notes, those private mortgages, I have $160,000. I took out 2 separate $60,000 loans and a $40,000 loan to fund a few various different projects. And I'm in the middle of refinancing one and finishing a remodel on another. Next, we move on to the credit card debt. And credit cards is where even I say, not the type of debt I want. I don't want this type of debt. Credit cards have ridiculously high interest rates. They will punish even the most financially savvy people if you let them sneak up on you and start beating the crap out of you with their high rates. Now, I've had a credit card. I've actually had 2 credit cards for 7 years. I'd never owned one in my entire life. I followed the Dave Ramsey advice, much like many of you out there. I always jokingly introduce myself on stage when I speak about real estate as a recovering Dave Ramsey addict. I never had a credit card until I was 28 years old. I bought this first rental property. And since then, those 2 credit cards I got, not one time ever have I ever carried a balance. Never. Instead, I've made tens of thousands worth of points by funneling all my expenses through these credit cards, paying them off immediately and collecting all the points to use on airline miles and trips to see my rentals or fly all across the country. That is until I took out a credit card so that I could do one of my remodel projects. A triplex that I've made a video about already that I call my biggest L in real estate ever. It's done nothing but just poke me in the side for years at this point. So about 13, 14, 15 months ago, I took out a 0% for the first 12 months, 0% interest credit card with a credit limit of $15,000. And I promptly racked it up to about $10,000. No big deal, make the minimum payments at the end of those 12 months or sooner when I do the cash out refi. I'll pay that thing off and I'll have never had to pay a single penny in that high interest rate like I don't want to. Until, unfortunately, nothing went according to plan. The project has taken longer. I've had setbacks. I got stolen from a contractor. Stuff was broken. I mean, everything you could think of that would have delayed a project or set me back has occurred, and then some more. And so I've sat there with this debt and watching the payments get closer and closer. And then now I'm actually paying that awful interest rate and it sucks. So what did I do? I took out 2 more credit cards. Now you might be saying to yourself, Mike, have you learned nothing? Are you an absolute idiot? The answer maybe is yes. Maybe from your perspective, I am just that stupid. So took out 2 more credit cards, each with a $15,000 limit on them, each with another 12%, 0 interest rate for the first 12 months. And I took those out a month ago, and I've racked up about $12,000 on debt on those 2 credit cards. So if you're keeping track at home, I'm paying the horrible 22% interest rate on the first credit card, and I'm 11 months away from paying it on credit card number 2. But I can see light at the end of the tunnel. The triplex that's been a thorn in my side for a long time is getting closer to being done. The top unit is finished. The middle unit's getting close. The bottom unit, I don't want to talk about it, all right? But we're going to get there, okay? Once I get that thing across the finish line, I can go to a bank and say, hey, I've got this triplex that's worth $250,000. Cut me a check for 75% of that value so I can pay off these credit cards in one fell swoop. And you'll say to yourself, well, Mike, it didn't work last time. And I go, that was a fluke. Because I've done the BRRRR strategy where you buy, rehab, rent it out, refinance. I've done that 4 or 5 times at this point and only had a problem with one of them. So if everything goes according to plan, this awful, horrible, terrible credit card debt that I would never encourage anybody to get into will hopefully be paid off. At least that's my plan for it. And as always, because I'm honest on my channel, if I take L's, I post them. If I'm in the middle of turning an L into a W, I'm going to post it. Now, how much credit card debt do I have in total? $21,000. Sucks. Not fun, especially from a guy who never carried a balance. And again, these are on different cards than the other ones, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I was prompted to make this video because I sat there sitting there stressing over credit card debt for the first time in my life and saying to myself that the whole purpose for this channel, the reason I started this channel, was because I wanted to be the most transparent real estate investor ever. Like many of you, I watched people like Dave Ramsey, Graham Stephan, Grant Cardone, Chris Crone, a lot of these guys back in 2016, 2015, 2017 make videos about how they got started investing in real estate. And I said to myself, is that really how they did it? Or are they giving me a Hollywood sugar-coated version of what actually occurred that just plays well to the algorithm and looks good on social media? And again, that's why I've made a channel sharing with you all of the information, laying it at your feet so that you can be the judge of whether or not I'm an idiot, whether or not I'm making the right choices, and whether or not you want to copy what I'm doing or go the other direction. If I helped you either way, please leave a like down below because it means a lot to me, helps the algorithm out, certainly will help my channel out. I share this with you guys because I like being honest and I like being transparent and I like holding myself accountable. I just think it's the right thing to do. Now, I'm going to continue to work hard to pay that debt off, to get rid of all of that credit card debt that I don't like, to transform it into fixed 30-year debt, which again, in my opinion, is debt that I'm a huge fan of. And I know, drop out and retire early down in the comment section, you disagree with me. I know you do, but I still love you, buddy. Guys, I do appreciate you as always for watching. If you like what you see here on YouTube, then please consider subscribing to my new Rumble channel. For those of you who don't know, give me 10 seconds of your time. Rumble is a platform incredibly similar to YouTube. It's a video platform where you upload content. But unlike YouTube, they don't punish people for trying to exercise their free speech rights. Maybe you haven't paid that much attention, but there's a whole host of different topics or words that you just can't even say on YouTube without getting your videos demonetized or potentially getting yourself deplatformed. I don't like the curtailment of free speech. So I'm moving some of my content, including premium content videos I will be making for Rumble exclusively, over to that platform. I'll put a link down below. Would really appreciate you guys' support there. I always have appreciated the people who have taken this journey with me. For anybody who's ever supported me, thanks so much for being here. And until next time, we'll catch you later.